Ponce. Just want to introduce you guys to the game I designed. It's called Conquian. Another way you guys might know it, another name you guys might know it by is called Rummy. I call it Conquian because that's the way I was taught. That's what we call it where I'm from in Mexico. But I designed this game with the purpose of just helping people play a card game that I personally enjoy a lot and I enjoy playing it with my family. So let's start off by saying, let's see, it says player one, please log in. Game first asks the user to log in. If you don't have an account, please enter 0. We're just gonna create an account. We're gonna call it uh, Jim, and we're gonna create Jim's account. We're gonna create a password for Jim. Uh, let's create. We'll log in, and then as you can see in the top, it says "Welcome, Jim." This game is designed for 2 people to be played only for now. Then I'll ask for the second player. For the second player, we'll just use a game player already designed, so which will be username by my last name Ponce, and I created it. So once the second player logs in, the game will automatically go into game mode. It'll start. It starts out by showing Jim's hand. One of the first things that you do in conquian is switch the card that you're least likely to need with the other player. For example, in this one, the card we were least likely to need was probably the 6 of diamonds. Looks like the 6 of diamonds will be the card we were less likely to need. So we're gonna put position 6 because the 6 of diamonds is in position 6, going downward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once we enter, it goes to the second player's hand. Where and the reason I designed it like this was so each player doesn't see each other's hands, which I know seems kind of ridiculous since it's all played in one computer, but it's with the This is with the concept of being able to playing a game over the web. Um, Now, player two, which Ponce was a user that I had previously created before the video, has the option to pick a card that he's less likely to need. And from the looks of it, the card he's less likely to need will probably be the Ace of Spades, which is in position number 8. The game then goes back to Jim's hand, and the Ace of Spades is added to his hand because that's the card that will switch between him and the second player. Now Jim draws the card, the 2 of spades. Jim has to either play the 2 of spades or discard the card. In order to play the cards, you need to have either a 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, or play it in a sequence with the same suits. As you can see, there's not really an option to be played. We don't have we only have pair of twos. We don't have 3 twos. And then for sequence, we have the Ace of Spades, but we're missing the 3 of Spades. So we're gonna go ahead and discard the card. Now, the rules will be shown specifically after the first draw. Secondly, the other thing that is shown will be the table. The table will only show the cards that are already played by each player. For example, if player 1 plays a sequence, it'll be illustrated down here. Player 2 plays a sequence or puts down 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, it'll be played on their side of the table. The 2 of spades then is given the option. Player 2 is then given the option to play the 2 of spades, which he can because he has pip 2s. In this case, we'll play it position 2, 6, and 9. So we basically chose all the 2s that we had in hand, and we chose to play them. Now we have to choose a card to get rid of. And to be honest, the card that is least likely to be needed is probably this Jack of Hearts, because we have 2 kings, we have 6s, and then we have a 4 of clubs. Oh, actually, the 4 of clubs is the one that we're less likely to need, because the Jack of Hearts we can still use with with the 6 of Hearts right here. So we're gonna go ahead and enter 1 to discard the 4 of clubs. It goes back, as you guys can see, the three of a kind were set on player two's side of the table. Jim's hand, it goes back to Jim, and the four of clubs is now given he's given the option to either play the card or discard the four of clubs. Uh, there's no way for him to actually play the four of clubs, so we're gonna go ahead and discard it. And now Jim draws a card. He draws a seven of clubs, which honestly it's not a good card for him either. He doesn't have the any card to play, so he's gonna go ahead and discard it. Player two now has the option to play the seven of clubs. He doesn't really. There's no viable way for him to play it. He draws a four of diamonds. Four of diamonds is not really a card that he needs. Now player one has the option to play the four of diamonds, but doesn't have anything either. He draws a three of clubs, which he can play because he has the ace of clubs in position 3, and he has two of clubs in position 5. And now he has to get rid of a card. So I mean, he has jacks. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the ace of spades, because that's the card that's probably less likely to be needed by him. As you guys can see, the sequence was played up here. The ace of spades is not really needed by player 2, so he's going to discard it, draw a card, draws the ace of diamonds, doesn't need the ace of diamonds. Ace of diamonds isn't a card that player 1 needs either, so Jim will discard it. Jim draws a four of spades, but he doesn't need a four of spades, so he gets rid of the four of spades. Now player 2 has the option to play the four of spades, but doesn't really need it. So as you guys can see the sequence that goes on here. It's pretty straightforward to play the game. Right here we drew a jack. We play the jack, so we'll play it. Position 1. And then we'll get rid of the queen of spades, because that's the only one that we don't need right now. Player 2 doesn't need the queen of spades. 5 of diamonds either. Queen of clubs, nope. Ace of hearts, nope. No. 3 of diamonds, no. Oh. This is interesting because player 2 was able to draw the 6 of spades, so, which he's going to play with the other 2 6s that he has, and now he gets he's able to get rid of the jack. Need it, but the only reason I thought that was interesting was because Jim now cannot win. There's no option for Jim to play the 5 and the 7, because the 6 of spades, as you guys can see up here, is played by player 2. So now Jim is basically just playing the game, aiming at hoping that player 2 doesn't win the game. So he doesn't need the jack of hearts either. He discards, draws a queen of hearts, doesn't need anything because he can't win anymore. Now player 2 is just going for a king. He draws a 3 but doesn't need it. Goes back to Jim. Jim doesn't need it. Jim draws a 7 diamonds, doesn't need it. Player 2 doesn't need a 7 diamonds, and he doesn't need a queen of diamonds either. Player 1, he's not really going in for anything, but right here he draws a king of spades. Can't do nothing with it. Has to discard it. Player 2 now could play his last 2 cards. As you can see, once he plays his last 2 cards, the game will state that player Ponce is the winner, which was player 2, and the game is all done. I just want to let you guys know that I designed this game to make it fairly simple. I know that it's not very colorful and interactive, but the gist of it was designed so any card game could be played on this. I designed this with the purpose of with multiple objects, So for a user, I mean anybody to come in and just change the settings. The table's there designed for as many players as you input in the settings. The game, you just change the few rules that I designed. This is just for conquian, but you could do it for poker 21. All the objects are already in place. There's a card object, a deck, and then a player object with all the moves that are available. That there's the reason. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really interesting game, and yeah, thank you for your time.